Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Live. It's Monday, January the 2nd. You know what day it is. We'll come to that in a second. Just wish everybody a happy new year. I'm Tony Haggerty at aHaggerty10 Twitter handle, and I'm joined today by at Sean Martin, TCW, Sean Martin, and Aidan McDonald at Aidan C. McDonald Twitter handle. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year to all the watchers, viewers, contributors. How we doing?
Not bad, aye. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, guys.
Is
You
it
still
result
recovering,
dependent,
Aidan?
boy?
You still recovering?
Just a bit, aye.
Is it result dependent, boys? Is it?
I think it will be, Tony, aye. I think that's a fair enough assessment, aye.
I'll just get this one in quickly as well. Happy New Year, old man. 74 the day, the old boy. So there you go. Got to say happy birthday.
Many happy returns.
To Father. There we are now. Right, I'll just
A
direct
birthday present in the post, we would hope.
Yeah, well, indeed, it's he's
Courtesy of Mr. A. Postecoglou.
He said many a wonderful New Year and many a birthday ruined by these kind of things. You know how it is. But yes, I'll just direct you to the ticker tape running along the bottom. It's still the Merry Christmas festive deal that we've got going, and you can enjoy two deals. It's £1 for 2 months of full access to everything that's written on the website, or you can have 25% off the yearly price, which takes that down to a wonderful 26 quid, all for a touch of a button. You know what I'm going to say. Subscribe. Hit the button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, gentlemen, start off on a sombre and a real sad note. The Celtic family lost Frank McGarvey yesterday. And I think everybody that saw Frank McGarvey when he spoke the last time and saw his reaction to the sad news, I think everybody knew what was happening or were put in the picture then. But for myself, wonderful memories of watching Frank McGarvey growing up. He played alongside one of my early heroes at Celtic, Charlie Nicholas, and I think Charlie Nicholas was a standout player, but because of a lot of what Frank McGarvey did, Frank McGarvey made Charlie Nicholas the player that he was, but Charlie Nicholas was a gifted individual. But for those of you who are familiar with Frank McGarvey and followed his 5 years at Celtic, his numerous goals against Rangers, Sean, his winning goal in the 1985 Scottish Cup final where he just threw himself at the box and said he was knackered. But a wonderful human being, and even spoke to us. I think you put the link up to the article yesterday about the Ajax game 40 years ago, and just a cracking fella. And I think every Celtic supporter has got wonderful memories of Frank, and may he rest in peace, and we send our condolences and sympathies to his family.
Aye, got to echo that, Tony. Can't really add to it. I think that sums it up. I did put up the link. I put up obviously the news story that he had passed away yesterday, but then I decided to add on first of all, made Kevin McKenna's column from October when he learned that Frank was ill. He asked could he do his column for that week on Frank and what he's kind of called it the one of a kind Celtic love affair that Frank McGarvey had with Celtic. And I decided to put that as a homepage story yesterday, just for as a wee kind of mark a tribute, but also posted a link because you spoke to him. He spoke to you for the website specifically for that feature about the Ajax game, and you came away from that. I remember saying, "What a guy! What a conversation! All that kind of stuff." So I thought, right, I'll post both of them up, and that can be a tribute. And we sent our condolences to Sean and the rest of his family as well.
I would echo Arthur Munford's sentiments, Aidan, when Celtic played Sporting Lisbon and they beat them 5-0 and McGarvey's running through and he said, chance for McGarvey, it's there, what a pass, what a goal, what a game. And I would put, what a man. Frank McGarvey was some man, and he was a wonderful goal scorer. He scored a lot of important goals for Celtic, and one of only 30 players to have scored over 100 goals for Celtic. So that tells you all you need to know about Frank McGarvey's goal-scoring prowess, Aidan.
Yeah, it just shows he's in esteemed company there, being part of that list, and he always seemed like a real character. No, nothing but good things to say about the club anytime he was interviewed and that, and yeah, it's a real shame. Just to echo what you have both said, obviously condolences to his family and that.
Indeed. So, Frank McGarvey, rest in peace.
Yep.
Now, there's a small matter of association football being played today, gentlemen, at 12:30 in Downgovan Way. Rangers play Celtic, second derby of the season. Celtic won the first one 4-0. Yep, there is a football match today, Jason Lee. We're just coming to that, indeed. I'll first and foremost, I'll ask you, Sean, are you confident heading into this one?
Well, the whole cliche is that form goes out the window in derbies, doesn't
Yes.
it? But it doesn't really. Not really. And in that sense, Celtic. I mean, Rangers have found a wee bit of form, but Celtic are like the team in form, the premier team in Scottish football again. And I don't see why you wouldn't be confident. The lack of away fans again will be a factor in some way. Where I know Ange Postecoglou kind of had the rallying cry, but we heard them the last time. We'll hear them this time, and that will be true. But nonetheless, this kind of, I was going to say this petty tit for tat, but it's not really tit for tat. We made our opinion on it clear last year when we kind of debated whether they should have turned down the 700 and just said, listen, either get a grip and get the normal allocations back, or we'll just not bother. So it's not really petty tit for tat. It is only one side that started it all. But the fact that there's only 700 Celtic fans is a blow. But nonetheless, when it comes to that team, I still feel that they will try and play their own football, regardless of the fact that the odds are against them in terms of the atmosphere. And when you look at the form, Celtic are the form team, as I say.
Aidan, do you subscribe to that?
Yeah, similar to what Sean's saying. I mean, obviously, in terms of like predicting an exact result, I know we'll probably go on to do that in a wee bit. That's always a challenge. But yeah, Celtic have been in a good run of form, and I think they've started to sort of, the first couple of games maybe back after the World Cup break were a wee bit, not bad performance, but maybe not exactly what the manager would want. But the last two games have been a massive improvement. You know, they've won 18 out of 19 league games this season. Pretty much domestically, they've been relatively flawless, except that St Mirren game. So I think it's fine to have plenty of confidence going into this match. A lot of the big players have been performing. You know, Kyogo seems to be back right in amongst the goals like that, etc. So, yeah, obviously we'll have to wait and see, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having a bit of confidence going into this game.
Sons of Scotland 67 says Celtic turn up, then they win. I'm a subscriber to that I think the best team usually wins these games, and I think Celtic at this moment in time are the best team because they have better players, and as Sean rightfully pointed out, they're the form team. So yeah, I think there's a reasonable amount of confidence among the Celtic supporters that they can go to Ibrox and win decently. They're saying he foresees a very physical match. Yeah, I can see that myself. But guys, we had
Brian Roberts is making a good point, which is Rangers must win.
Yeah,
Celtic want to win, and 12 points is a great gap to have, but Rangers need to win it. They need to do it. And Brian thinks that he's not sure that they'll handle the pressure of having to do that.
Well, yeah, we'll find out. And if they do happen to come at Celtic, then you know what Celtic are like. They're quick on the counter. They can, find spaces and holes, and might well play into that kind of Celtic's hands, as they say. But yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of it, even if Celtic do lose, they're still 6 points ahead at the top of the Premiership table, which is still a healthy lead. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think it's a decent Celtic position to be in heading to Ibrox for this game. You would have taken that at the start of the season, Aidan.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned sort of the last few weeks, even longer, like before the World Cup break, that the 9-point gap that was already in place, if that had been the case come the end of the season, you'd be absolutely delighted. Never mind, well, at that point, it was November going into the break. So, yeah, Celtic's in a really good position. I don't think it's getting carried away to say that. It's probably better than anybody would have been expecting. So, yeah, I think it's fine to have confidence going into the game today. We know it's going to be tough. It's probably the toughest game away from home you're really going to have, apart from when you go back there again. So, domestically, that is. But, yeah, I think they're in a good position.
Sean, I'm a no half measures kind of guy. I'm not buying this take a draw kind of school of thought. I want to win. I'm like the manager. I'll just go and win.
Is that what prompted that there?
I've seen a lot of people saying you would take a draw right now. No, I don't want a draw. I want Celtic to go there, play their football and win. And I think they're good enough to go there and play their football and win.
Aye, true. Beach Boys also pointing out that since they come back from the break, which is obviously the massive caveat that I never mentioned there, that this is only from the break, the 4 games, 4 wins for each team, which is fair enough. But form extends beyond the 4 games since the break, I would argue. And more so, identity extends far beyond that. And I think with a new manager having come in at Ibrox, you could make an argument they don't have that identity yet. Celtic have that identity, and I'm a big I'm a big believer in that. I mention this when it comes to an actual international tournament all the time, which I realise isn't club football, but it makes a massive, massive difference if when there's a pressurised situation, you know you've got an identity to fall back on, whereas maybe your opposition doesn't. I'm actually intrigued by that concept as well today. How not so much how Ange Postecoglou sets up, because he's told us all before he's going to set up the same way. He's going to go to win it, he's going to go to score, he's going to go to attack. Maybe personnel, as we'll come to, maybe a debating point. But I'm intrigued to see what Rangers do as well, especially Michael Beale's first derby. He's done a lot of talking so far, guys. He seems to like talking. I think some of what he's been saying, you can tell he's a rookie manager. So I'm intrigued to see how that translates into what he actually tries to set his team up to do. And more so than anything else, at Ibrox, I want to see if he tries to set up to stop Celtic, which I think will be a massive blink if that is what he does.
Indeed, he has done a lot of talking. That's fair enough. He's entitled to do a lot of talking, but this kind of someone when I comment and say this is a moment of truth and see what his team shapes up to play with Celtic, and we'll soon see. Now, Aidan and Sean and myself, we had the unenviable task of picking a predicted 11, didn't we? And I think Sean and myself were very pragmatic.
We said
the exact same team, eh? And Aidan, you had a couple of, I wouldn't say curveballs, but you had a couple of not disagreements, but differences of opinion, let's say, with Sean.
We'll throw up Aidan's first, shall we?
Yeah, we'll throw up Aidan's, yeah. Aidan can talk us through it.
So obviously went with a relatively similar team. There's a couple of differences like you two both mentioned there. Obviously, I've put Juranovic back in at right back. I just think the fact he was on the bench the other night, he must be fit enough to play, because for all we could have known against Hibs, he could have picked up a knock in the first 5-10 minutes and Juranovic would have had to come on and played. So he must be fine. I would like him in there. Obviously, it could potentially be his last game for Celtic or something along those lines. We don't know, but I think he's a class act. He's done well in derbies before. He's been used to getting sort of thrown in a game at Ibrox. It happened last season, but I think that was his debut. He came in and played at left back that day because Greg Taylor was injured. So he's got kind of experience of having to play at Ibrox as well when he's coming out of the cold. In terms of the midfield, obviously McGregor, we still have him at the 6. I think that's probably the most obvious pick in the whole team, really, maybe apart from Joe Hart. In terms of the other two number 8s in front of him, so I've put Hatate in, obviously moving him from right back to his usual sort of midfield position. And the one that people might disagree with, but I've had Aaron Moy ahead of Matt O'Reilly. I think Matt O'Reilly's been fine since the break. I know he's been getting a wee bit of criticism online, which I don't personally agree with, even though I've left him out of this midfield 3. But the reason I've got Moy is I think he's been really good, in particular the last 2 games. It wasn't even just because of his 2 goals the other night. Obviously, that did help, but it wasn't just because of that. I would have maybe had him in the team anyway, because I think he's been playing really well. And I think this is the best spell he's had since he really came to Celtic, and I think it'd be unfair to leave him out. In terms of my front 3, obviously I've got Kyogo. He's been really good the last few games. Top goal scorer in the league this season. Scored a nice goal the other night, even though he wasn't involved too much. So I've got him in there. I've brought Jota back in, and I've put him on the right. I know Ange said he had a stomach bug, but obviously he did come on and get some minutes against Hibs, so I'm going to assume that he's kind of fit and ready to go. And then I've got Maida on the left. There's just no way you couldn't play Maida. A bit like Moyes' performance the other night was superb. So yeah, it's a slight difference here and there, but overall I would say it's still a strong enough team. It should be able to go out there and get a result.
Sean, we disagreed, but we put the same team up, didn't we?
We disagreed, aye. I think, first of all, I don't actually disagree with the sentiment that Aidan said there. I do think he actually probably has earned it, but I don't think that, despite the fact that, especially on here the other day, there was a wee bit of dissent over whether Matt O'Reilly was off form or just not playing as well as the other 2 midfielders, and I think it was the latter. I don't think he is off form in the sense that he's playing poorly. I think he's still playing well. I think he contributes a lot. And I just cannot see how he doesn't make the 11. So therefore, to me, it was a choice between Hatate back in midfield or Moy. And I think he'll go with Hatate. Again, I think I would almost be punishing Hatate for being able to move out of position and play well, to then drop him from his actual position when the right back's ready to play again. It would be harsh on Moy. I don't disagree with that, but I do think that that's the first choice midfield. I've been saying it since pre-season. all three are fit, I don't see why you interrupt that just because Moy played a couple of good games well.
Yep, I mean that. I just think that's a tried and tested, experienced team, which you might need today, certainly to start the game and for the first 60, 65 minutes, and hopefully the results go in your Celtic's way, and then make these normal changes. But I wrestle with my conscience over Moy or O'Reilly, but O'Reilly get the nod because he's a more of a creative player for me. And I think you'll need that at Ibrox. You need to go there and score and create. So, and I just think that also that's that midfield. I just don't see it functioning without O'Reilly. Yeah, he might have been off it by his own very high standard that he has set the last game. But I'm not judging him on the last game. I'm judging him on what he's done so far. And I just think he merits an order. And yeah, you can make a case for Moy. You made a case for Moy. If it's Moy, I'm not going to be upset or too unhappy. But I just think those three in that midfield are, they're solid.
Matt O'Reilly started the last 17 games in a row, Tony, including when he obviously had to deputise for McGregor at the kind of 6 position as well. I just don't see him not making it 18. I think that would be exceedingly harsh. But the other question, I suppose, and this could lead to all of us getting what we want in a way, really, like it would be Hatate, O'Reilly and Moy starting, would be if you do think that Juranovic, even though he was on the bench, maybe wasn't ready or isn't ready to start. I don't see why he would have been on the bench if he wasn't capable of starting. And a couple of comments mentioning that he's been away and wasn't training and was at the World Cup. But the fact that he was at the World Cup and playing, to me, means that there's not quite that alarm as if it was a pre-season as if it was a competitive start of the season without a pre-season. It's not quite that level of panic, I don't think. So I suspect the fact that he was on the bench was a wee sign that he is okay to play. Now that said, Ange Postecoglou is always capable of a selection curveball, Tony. So if Hatate starts at right back, or even Alistair Johnston, I'm not going to be that shocked because he has it in him to throw a curveball. But things being equal, I think Juranovic, given that he was in that squad, I just think that means that he's going to start. Yeah,
and also as well, I think what's quite all of our selections is we've all gone with the same front three.
Yep. On that, Tony, there's a lot of love for Abada in the comments. So, I mean, I must admit, I was tempted. I said this in my write-up. I've put the link to the write-ups in the comments where we'll explain it probably far better than we do speaking. But I just, you know what I'm like about Maeda. I just think when it's a big game, he'll play. But I also said at the end of last season, to me, he seemed custom built for a derby day, just with the way that he sets the tone and the pressing that he brings. And then with the other flank, whether you think it's left or right, they've both started in both flanks at different points. But with the other flank, I kind of said in it that Forrest got a shout. Before we found out that he was that he still had he's not had a shout, and Abada certainly had a shout. But on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, how do you not play the most talented player in Scottish football for 3 games in a row? And I just don't think it happens. So at that point, I've kind of backed myself into a corner and says, right, it's going to need to be Maeda, Kyogo and Jota then. And it just so happens that the two of you agreed. Now, David Ferguson, wrong comment from him, but there was a comment here. That was a comment saying, stay on till 12:30 so he doesn't need to do the ironing. Which is fair enough. David Ferguson says Jota and Maeda are best on the left, so we can't see them both starting. Now, he's got a point. And actually, this season, Jota has started on the left more than the right. But let's not forget that he has played on the right. He's played over 1,000 minutes on the right wing for Celtic. And Alan Morrison, I keep going back to this when this comes up, because I think people have deleted it from their brain that he played right wing. Alan Morrison wrote a whole analysis on right or left. And basically the conclusion was, at the time anyway, it might have changed since because he's played games more on the left since. The conclusion was, if you want Jota, the goal-scoring winger, then the left wing. If you want Jota, who's maybe slightly more adept at creating for others, then start him on the right. So basically, you'll get something from him whether he starts on the left or the right, Tony.
Listen, I'm with you. I just think he's you need to go to Ibrox and score. He won the match. He's a creative player. He's capable of moments of magic. And I know Abada has got goals against Rangers and turns up. against Rangers. So it literally is a toss of the coin for myself. But I just think Jota edges that slightly in Abada because I think his decision making is sometimes better than Abada's. But again, if Abada starts, then I won't be too perturbed because you'll have Jota to come on later on. But I'd just like to see Jota start and see if they can get their noses in front and get into a comfortable position where you're then bringing on somebody like Abada to torment whoever it is again as he comes on. So that was my rationale behind that. Kyogo stays in situ, and I think Maeda showed the other night that he likes Maeda, and he mentioned his work rate and he mentioned the dirty work that Maeda does, the tracking back and the defensive part of his game. That's something that's not box office and maybe goes unnoticed by certain people, that doesn't go unnoticed by Ange. You need all hands to the pump today in those kind of terms, and I think that's why Maeda always gets a nod for his work rate as well as what he can bring offensively.
And remember, if he starts, there's a good chance he's off after 60-65 minutes, and somebody like Abada has a 25 minutes, half an hour run. Whether it's on the left or right, if it's Abada, it'll be the right, and that could play into, as Chilpal said here, he's got previous for tormenting Borna Barisic, who would be 65 minutes into having faced Jota or Maeda at that point. So it could actually work in Abada's favour, and he's coming on raring to go, and Barisic has had to deal with either Maeda or Jota, or at some instances both, for 60-65 minutes at that point. And Dougie Boy's coming in here, Aidan, saying he saw my post on Twitter about Abada, which was just in Premiership Glasgow Derbies. He's played 5, won 3. He's only played 260 minutes, which is about 52 per game. So again, he's not used to playing full games against him. 7 shots, 3 goals and an assist. So everybody's right when they're saying Abada has previous. He does. Whether that means he starts or not, Aidan, obviously we don't think he does, but were you tempted?
Yeah, no, Abada was definitely somebody that I was tempted with, and just sort of all the players you went through there, even, Forrest and that, etc. Haksabanovic, if he'd been fit, it does show that on the flanks or even in the whole front three, Celtic are really spoiled for choice, which is a great position to be in. There's probably been previous teams going to Ibrox where you're pretty confident your front three, but behind that, you've maybe got one player, maybe two at a push you can come off the bench. But even with Haksabanovic, it looks like he'll probably be out injured for this game. There's still plenty of options there. There's even Yakimakis as well to bring off the bench in terms of the front three. So I was definitely tempted with Abada because of his stats, even if he's having games where he's been a wee bit quieter. I know against the Livingston match, for example, he was, a couple of assists, and well, one of them was an own goal that he was involved in, and he got a goal chopped off as well. I don't think anybody would have any issues if Abada did start. It's just based off the sort of last couple of games, how strong Maeda's been, and the fact, like you said, Sean, Jota's probably not going to be left out for 3 games in a row.
Tony, this comment from Dougie, play Georgios Yakimakis to start, let him take the John Lundstrom lunges. I don't think it's going to happen. None of us think it's going to happen because we've all picked Kyogo. Kyogo's been in good form. He's been scoring. Yakimakis hasn't played all that well in his cameos when he's coming on as a sub the last couple of games. But nonetheless, when he did start in a derby, he actually played really well, Tony. Were you tempted at all, or was it just cold, hard logic telling you there's no chance it's not Kyogo?
It was cold, hard logic that told me that. Normally, I would bang the Yakimakis drum because it's a physical contest, and he's fared quite well against Rangers in those situations. And also, remember, I think Kyogo's still looking for his first goal against Rangers, isn't he? I think both of them would be looking for their first goal against Rangers. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the goals against Rangers have come from other sources other than Kyogo and Yakimakis. So hopefully that changes today with Kyogo starting, obviously. But you're always tempted to throw Yakimakis into a competitive match like that, which is going to be a physical contest. But you said it there, cold hard logic dictated that Kyogo is on form. What's he got? 15 goals in all competitions. So, that's a decent return. And he's now back to where he's kind of contributing a goal a game, isn't he? His last few. So, fine well, if you get a chance, he'll score. And he's looking like the player of old, the way he's taken a couple of goals. His near post runs against St Johnstone was the Kyogo of old, wasn't it? So I don't think you'd like to upset that wee kind of Rich Rayner form that he's on, goal scoring form, by rotating him at this moment in time, because I think he's got his eye in again and he's enjoying it. And I think it was Aidan that said maybe not played great against us, but he took his goal brilliantly well, didn't he? When the chance came, he took it. So, but I still think that he causes a lot of consternation in defences by making runs. It's just being able to pick him out, isn't it? Which is another reason why I play Jota, because Jota is that kind of player who, and O'Reilly, who can see those runs sometimes and pick the pass. McGregor's another one, so that's why they always kind of get the nod in those situations.
Andrew Gillia coming in saying Rangers will target McGregor, so Moy would be vital. I don't disagree with that. Whoever plays in that kind of, whether it's Hatate or Moy or O'Reilly further forward on the right hand side, they will be vital because they need to keep the possession. If Rangers do, as they did under Steven Gerrard for a while, maybe put Ryan Kent as an attacking midfielder and kind of try and sit on McGregor, or even move Lundstram forward and try and sit on him, which I think is probably a rational thing to do because McGregor is the kind of metronome, the one that makes everything flow through him. And he's also the one they look to if they're under pressure and it is a frenetic start. He's the one that they'll give the ball to, the Celtic players. But it's kind of been shown already, and it's been shown at Ibrox. Remember that whether they're targeting him or not, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be able to stop him.
Yes.
The start of that game, it was the Rogic goal. Obviously, it was Rogic that ended up putting it in, wasn't it? But it owed everything to McGregor, that goal, and that was after a kind of frenetic start where you weren't sure they were actually going to remember to play their football, and he just went, no, wait a minute. So it's one thing saying that they'll target him, it's another thing actually pulling that off, especially with the form Callum McGregor's been in since he came back from injury, Tony.
Yeah, indeed. Aidan, would you consider Giakoumakis?
I wouldn't have that much of an issue with him starting. Like, it wouldn't be somebody I would go, oh no, we're not going to win today because Giakoumakis is starting, sort of thing. But I just think it's quite hard to leave Kyogo out with the form he's been in, Tony. I know neither of them have scored in this fixture before, despite both of them probably putting in quite good performances. In particular, when Sean was mentioning Giakoumakis derbies that he started last season, and I know he had to come off the bench early in the 4-0 game as well, because obviously Kyogo got injured. But I just think the prime example to me that Kyogo has got his eye right on the prize right now is the midweek game against Hibs. He wasn't bad by any stretch, but I think he himself has probably not been his strongest game, even in this wee sort of mini run since club football's came back. But he still scored a brilliant goal. I think that's when he's really at it. If you're not having your best game, but you can still pull off a piece of skill and a finish like that. So I just think he's kind of his eye on the prize too much to leave him out at the moment, to be honest.
Tony, I still think that at a fundamental level, when you're going to be playing against, like, for instance, say Connor Goldson and Davis are the two centre backs, right? I would rather have Kyogo buzzing about, running in behind, dropping deep, confusing them basically, than necessarily having Giakoumakis go and try and compete physically, because I think that would almost be, they would rather that.
Yeah,
they would rather face the physical threat than the kind of cerebral threat that Kyogo brings if he's on form. Now the thing is, if he's not bringing it, you can always put Giakoumakis on.
Yes. And my thoughts with that are, that's why you need people that can connect with Kyogo, which is why Jota plays, McGregor plays, and O'Reilly plays. For me, that's my rationale behind that, because I still think that those guys can function. And if they're in tune with Kyogo and Kyogo's having one of those days, then yeah, you can get a bit of joy. And then, as you say, if it's not working, then you can just mix it up and throw the big centre forward on to rummel them up, as they say. But after being run about by Kyogo, I don't know if a big physical threat's what you want for the other half an hour as well. So that there's all sorts of subplots and caveats to this game which could eventually take hold. And you mentioned the point that, yeah, they'll try and shackle McGregor. Of course, they'll try and shackle McGregor. He's arguably Celtic's best player. You just said, no, that's not to say it's going to work, is it? I mean, Celtic went 1 down back in April after 3 minutes, and it was McGregor's run that dragged Celtic back into the game. Forceful run into the box, ended up second phase of play. They scored equaliser from Rogic. And, and then after that, McGregor was terrific. Everybody knows what McGregor can do, but, seeing him and thinking, right, we need to stop him. Doing it's another thing, as you rightfully pointed out, he's just a pivotal player in that team. And then again, if they do try and snuff out McGregor, that's when you're looking to the likes of Hatate and O'Reilly to say, right, he's getting shackled, close presence. It's up to us to be a wee bit more confident, take the ball and be the kind of creative forces and outlet for, Kyogo and as well as Jota to step up to the plate and say, all right, if that's one area of our game they're going to try and nullify, then so be it. We'll do it. And so I've got no qualms whatever team the manager picks. If it's more like Aidan's team, I don't say, oh no, I shouldn't be doing that. I'm quite confident in whatever 11 is picked that they can go there and do a job. I think one of the commenters earlier said, if Celtic turn up, they win. And I kind of believe that, but the caveat to that is you have to turn up.
Tony, Frank Brennan saying Glasgow derbies are to be won, not played, and so go out and do what's necessary to win it. Did February not show you that it can be both?
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Aidan, there seems to be a lot of confidence about Celtic supporters on this one. Seen a lot of wild predictions, scorelines and stuff, but you have to be pragmatic. You have to earn the right to win every game, but you sort of trust the manager and you trust the players to deliver what the manager keeps talking about, the brand of football. The Celtic bring the brand of football. I think they can be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand to an extent why maybe some of the score lines that have been thrown out they are sorry, because the last game was 4-0. Understand that was at home, but in the sort of space of 2022 that we just came out of, there was 2 games in which Celtic scored three goals, then 4 goals in another against Rangers. I know there was also a 2-1 victory in there as well. So they've been scoring plenty of goals against Rangers really in recent times. So I can understand why maybe people are throwing out scorelines like that. That will not be my prediction, I will say. I don't think I'll be throwing out any goal line. I'll just always try and not lead to myself getting clipped up, to be honest. But I think I can understand why fans are confident, given the league position as well. 9 points clear, as we've already mentioned. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with going into these games feeling like the team are playing well, because they are. It's not like they've been sort of huffing and puffing along, just getting the odd goal here and there. The last couple of games in particular, the performances have been really good and really dominant. Celtic scored 4 goals in each game, but both games could have been 5, 6 or 7. So I can understand why fans are confident going into it.
John, you agree with that? You understand the confidence, where it comes from, where it emanates from?
Aye, of course, aye. There's I don't see why not. As I said at the start, Celtic are a form team. Top of the league, 9-point lead, won 4-0 in the last derby. A new manager in across in the other dugout. You never know how that's going to affect someone. I don't see why. I don't see why you shouldn't be confident. Obviously, it comes with the usual caveats of it's derby day, all that kind of stuff. But no, I don't see why not. So that St Mirren blip is the only thing domestically to suggest anything other than Celtic are going to turn up and play well here, or at least Celtic are going to turn up and get the job done.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your logic and your thinking behind that as well. As I said at the start of the programme, I do think at this moment in time, Celtic are a better team and they have better players, and usually that's a telling factor in these kind of matches.
Sorry, I had to check you. It was A. Haggerty 10 and not G. Giakoumakis there on the...
Yes, indeed. But they are, aren't they? I don't think anybody could argue with that at this moment in time. I'm talking about at this moment in time. The Rangers will be set up differently under Michael Beale, and again, we will wait and see how they try and play Celtic. That tactical battle is one that's going to be interesting for all to see. But I think there's and it's not. I would never be arrogant about any kind of derby fixture, because you've got to, as I say, earn the right to win it. But I think there's a confidence in the way that Celtic are playing, and the way the manager picks his team, and the way the players go about their business. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But it's never arrogance, because you're in a game today, a massive game. And as you pointed out, the need for the opposition to win is great. That is a pressure situation in itself, Aidan. How do Rangers handle that? Celtic have been playing in pressure situations since Ange Postecoglou come in the door, and domestically they're reasonably adept at handling them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you were to flip it and think if this game was at Parkhead, Celtic were 9 points behind, with no games in hand or anything, they very much had to win. How would you be feeling on that occasion? Regardless how well you would be playing, you would be feeling a bit nervous because it very much is a must-win game, which you don't really want on the 2nd of January. Sort of previous years and that would dictate that if you're hitting must-win games in the sort of start of the year when there's still like 5-6 months of the season left, it's maybe not looking that great. So I can understand why Celtic fans are confident, because if it was all the way about and Celtic were in the situation that Rangers were in, I probably wouldn't be confident. So if I take that logic and apply it to what the club are thankfully in with being 9 points clear, I can see why the sort of fans are feeling this way. But yeah, as I said, my scoreline will probably still be a slightly conservative, my prediction. But
Sean, your scoreline be conservative, will it?
Are we going for it now? Is that what we're doing?
You want to do it?
Aidan, fancy it? You want to go first?
yeah, all right, I'll go first. So I've had a lot of thought about this over the last few days, to be honest. I'm going to go for Celtic to win 2-1. The reason I think Rangers will score, firstly, they're at home. I'm sure they'll probably come out of the traps, similar to how they did under Gerrard. I know they're not managed by Beale, but there'll be similar sort of coaching aspects there, I would imagine. Celtic also haven't been keeping a lot of clean sheets this season, even in games when they've been dominant. St Johnstone being the recent example, they still conceded a goal. So I would expect Rangers will probably score, but I'll go for Celtic to win 2-1.
Sean?
I actually agree with Aidan. That's what I was going to pick, 2-1. So is it going to be 3-1, Tony? Is it going to be 3-1?
I'll do what I normally do and go win a reef, 11 a reef, then I'll go 3-1, yeah. Why not?
Paul agrees with you, so does Tia.
I don't know, I just think that if they bring their A game, which I've no reason to dispute that they won't, and I agree with Aidan, I think Rangers will score. And it could be a high scoring game, but yeah, I think Celtic have got the ammunition to win, yeah. I'll say 3-1. But it won't be an easy 3-1, it'll be a hard fought 3-1 game, if you get what I mean. So
Antonio's current saying Celtic 3 VAR 1. Let's hope we're not having to sit here and talk about VAR again, because I'm sick of getting on IFAB, Tony. I'm sick of getting on that website.
You can put.
But you never know. It's been more likely than not, given what's happened so far since VAR's come in, to be honest with you. But at least we're not spending the preview discussing what might happen with VAR. We'll wait until it actually happens, I suppose. But it's more likely than not, probably, that I'm going to be on that IFAB site before the day's out.
There's every chance, yes, indeed. Yeah, but yeah, listen, these are what they are. They're what was it? Jockstein once said only a fool would predict the outcome of a derby game, didn't he? But hey, let's let the three fools predict it then, eh? 2-1, 2-1, 3-1. There you go.
Tony, I remember both of us actually referenced this, right? I done it last August when it was Postecoglou's first derby, and they played all right in spells and they missed a couple of good chances, and it was just at the early stages of his kind of football starting to take hold and stuff. And I quoted Billy McNeil just saying about when Jockstein was the manager, he used to kind of say it was just another game, but he knew it wasn't, and he knew it was different, and that he knew there was a psychological barrier that had to be dismantled. Yeah. Now, Celtic weren't quite ready, was the point of my article at that point in August, end of August 2021, saying they weren't quite ready to dismantle that. Come February, you quoted the same kind of concept, and by God, did they smash that psychological barrier in February, right? And since then, and I know they get put out in the cup, but that was a game that it was a coin flip game. That could have went either way, despite the narrative at the time that John Lundstrom was suddenly Iniesta or something. It was a close game, and there's been far more Celtic positives than Rangers positives since then. Since that day that they smashed that psychological barrier in February, and for that reason, I just don't think it's got the same. It's just not quite the same ask, because they know they can do it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where, I wouldn't say it's overconfidence, but that's where the confidence comes from for me. That a lot of these players know they can do it. Ange Postecoglou knows he can do it.
I actually think on the flip side of that, that's the psychological barrier that Rangers now need to smash through, Aidan, and that could be massive. And like you said, with Ange Postecoglou's first derby, Celtic weren't ready. I'm not sure that Rangers will be ready Michael Beale's first derby. Could be wrong in that, but that's my thought process in that, Aidan.
No, I understand what you're saying there, Tony. And even in that game, I know it's probably been sort of discussed to death at this point, but Celtic weren't that bad in that first game last season. They had the chances to get a draw or at least a win. So if they put in a similar performance but took their chances today as they did in that first game, then you wouldn't complain too much. That was just the only thing that was missing was finding the back of the net. But it's obviously, this is Michael Beale's fifth game in charge, I think it is. So very early to be sort of in your competitive tenure playing a derby. So if even if he's got some of his ideas in place, it's probably going to be unlikely that everything's flowing exactly as he would like. So hopefully that's something Celtic can take advantage of.
Tony, for me, the tactical thing is, as I said, about the identity again.
Yeah.
Even if Rangers go 1-0 up, it's how they respond to that. Celtic have already shown if they go 1-0 down the derby at Ibrox that they will respond appropriately. If the opposite happens and Celtic go 1-0 up and there's 50-odd thousand or nearly 50-odd thousand Rangers fans starting to get on their team's back because it's not quite working, will his ideas have taken root enough for them to continue doing what he wants them to do? I would hazard a guess probably not.
Yeah, of course. And listen, the game, as they say, will take care of itself. But I just think there's, you pointed out various scenarios and thought processes behind it, why we think like that. I think both teams will be certainly up for it. Of course, they'll be up for it. You cannot not be up for a derby match. But there is, as I said, lots of intriguing subplots and narratives to come from it. It's just going to be, we hope that it's going to be enjoyable. But make no mistake, Celtic are in for a dogfight today, Aidan. I would
That's what Patrick McLaughlin says as well, Aidan. He says this will be a fight today. No way they'll sit back conservatively like Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had them do.
Yeah, it's going to be a competitive game. That's why I given the scoreline prediction that I did. I don't think that it's going to be a sort of thrashing really like the last game was, which was a complete whitewash, to be honest. That was another one I was mentioning earlier, games that, Celtic scored 4 goals, but it could have been a lot more. I don't think it's going to be quite like that today. It might be a bit similar to the not even just because of the scoreline, but the 2-1 game back sort of near the end of last season when Carter Vickers scored. It could be quite a tight game that maybe at times Celtic are having to defend, but as that game showed and numerous other examples, Celtic's been there and done it in really all sorts of scenarios against Rangers under Ange Postecoglou, whether it's the dominant performance or having to sort of fight to get a result. So that's why I can understand fans' confidence, because they've shown they can adapt to a lot of situations against Rangers. And as Sean was mentioning, if Rangers do go 1-0 up early, I'd like to think the players and the management team won't panic, because they've had the experience of that before and they know they can come back from it. So
they never do they? That's the thing, they never do. And I think that, talk about barriers, I think that day in particular in April was a barrier that Celtic overcame by going 1 down so early at Ibrox and everything going against them so early. But I think they were on level terms within 4 minutes. I think
even if it does look as if they're going to temporarily forget where their football is and stuff, it is usually McGregor that makes he does something, whether it's a slalom and run, whether it's a pass, whether it's just talking to people. He tends to do something that kind of reminds them what they're meant to be doing in the first place, that kind of thing. Now, obviously, at Ibrox that day, it worked out immediately, basically. But I take your point, and again, I keep using that word identity, but I just think that's going to be a massive factor the day. Regardless of who actually takes the lead first, there'll be a question mark over the identity, and I trust Celtic more, just naturally because they're so far into Ange Postecoglou's tenure. I just trust that their identity will see them through in a way that I don't think Michael Beale's Rangers will.
Fair enough. Well, that's nearly 45 minutes, gentlemen. Are we going the hour mark, or are we?
What else you want to talk about? Actually, that's the question.
I was really throwing that out there. Have we had enough? Will we let you go and bite your nails in the next 90 minutes, awaiting kickoff? I think the only one that's nervous from the comments I've read is Jason Lee. He's very nervous about today, and he's made his points known through the comments saying he's nervous. But hey, chill, Phil, stay on. There you go. David wants out of the island, doesn't he?
I think so. Aye.
We would be doing him a turn. But hey, there you go. But no, I think we'll round it up there. We'll say Happy New Year to everybody.
Yep.
Result dependent, of course. Hope my dad's birthday's no ruined, please. There you go. But guys, along the bottom, you can see the strap line. We've always got a deal for you. You know that. And the deal is you can have two deals. It's for a festive deal. You can get 25% off the yearly subscription rate, which takes that down to 26 quid. Or you can enjoy 2 months of total access to everything that's written on the website for just £1. So take your pick. To all those who have subscribed, we thank you very much. We really enjoy it. As you can see from today, quite a lot of people tuning in and getting involved in the comment section because it's a Derby day and everybody's up for Derby day. Aidan and Sean, we're up early, we're discussing it. There's still an hour and a half to go. The nerves get frayed and shot, but hey, bring it on. Get the battle fever on, as people say. Yeah. So, yeah.
Roll podcast, Tony.
yeah, possibly. Yeah, indeed. But no, everybody enjoys Derby Day, don't they? They certainly enjoy the build up to it, and we see how it's going. But we'll enjoy. Hopefully, Celtic can go 12 points ahead, Sean. That'd be some lead to have, wouldn't it? After today.
Yep, it'd be a fantastic lead start of the new year. But I mean, I don't think there's anything else to say other than enjoy your day. Hopefully, it goes your team's way, obviously, and stay safe more than anything else. But remember, if you're sitting after the game, you're wondering where you want to go, come onto the website. We'll have detailed Celtic player ratings on there. We'll have reaction, analysis, news, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously in the next day or two, there'll be the stats bomb data. There'll be more analysis. There'll be opinion pieces. There'll be all sorts there for you. And there's been all sorts going on over the last few days to tide you into the new year as well. So hopefully you've been on seeing that.
Brilliant. Well, guys, just hit the button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Subscribe for more of this and more of everything that you want to read on the pod. Aidan, thank you for your contribution. You look like a young man who's enjoyed himself over the New Year period there.
Very quiet, Tony. You know me.
Very quiet, was it? Very quiet, yes, indeed. Sean, thank you as ever for your
No worries.
Contribution. Always appreciate it. Guys, thanks for the comments. It's result dependent, isn't it? We'll reconvene and we'll dissect it all, and you can read it all on the website as well, and you can come back tomorrow and we'll discuss it all over again.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.